Nobody does it, Bennett. Yes, I've gone and said it. Movies and games, some things that are lame. Nobody does it, Bennett. A video game, movie pitch. We'll make a film with a game as itch. Video game, movie pitch. Let's start a show. No, we're not on Twitch. A video game, movie pitch.
Hello, and welcome to Nobody Does It Bennett, a video game movie pitch. I am your host, the Greg Bennett Experience, and tonight I'm joined by Matt as we pitch our ideas for a movie or TV show for the very last time for Resistance, Full of Man. Matt, how are you tonight?
I am doing great, sir. How are you?
Oh, resisting,
Resisting the fall of man.
You're looking forward to the show, or are you having some resistance? I got here too.
I'm having some resistance. Plenty.
Full of Matt, yeah. But yes, you heard right. For the last time. This will be the final episode of a video game movie pitch. And what a journey it has been.
Sad.
You have been with me for some of these video game movie pitches, Matt. We've done Alex the Kid in Miracle World. I always say Alex the Kid. It's Alex Kid.
Yeah, Alex Kid.
Alex Kid in Miracle World. That was some interesting ones. I always remember my pitch was almost like a Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, that was quite cool, actually.
Kind of thing.
Turn-based, yeah.
And we also did Infamous as well.
Infamous was good.
Yeah, another great game. Another great PlayStation game too.
Cool.
I would also like to thank Ross, who joined me for Uncharted 1 and 2, as well as Assassin's Creed. Garath, who did Star Fox 64/Light It Wars with me, Gears of War, and Mass Effect. And of course, Gemma, who did the Mario Kart pitch with me last time.
Oh, cool.
She pitched like a Godfather-like type kind of story. It was amazing.
We gotta save the princess, you know.
I wasn't expecting a Godfather-type pitch from Gemma. It was incredible.
Hey, Bowser.
So thank you all so much for your time and effort with these shows. I couldn't do this without you. But don't fret. A video game movie pitch may be going, but Nobody Does It Bennett isn't. We will still be doing MRU, or Movie Review Universe, and the worst of the worst. In fact, with the video game movie pitch retiring, we'll be replacing it with more MRU episodes. So we'll now do an extra MRU episode where a video game movie pitch would have been. So we'll do 2 MRU episodes 1 month, and then an MRU episode and a worst of the worst the next. More MRU fun and madness.
Yeah, get into it. The multiverse of madness.
So let's start the show for the last time. What we'll do tonight is pitch your ideas for a movie or TV show for the PlayStation 3 launch game, Resistance, Full of Man. We will pick our main cast between us before we give you our ideas for a movie or TV show using that cast. First though, we will give you a brief introduction of our own Resistance experiences, as well as the history of the game. Matt, when did you first play Resistance, Full of Man?
I think it came out with PlayStation, didn't it?
It was a launch title.
Yeah. That was probably one of the best games I'd ever played, actually. It was like, because before then I was playing Medal of Honor, one of the old Medal of Honors.
Very similar.
Yeah, and then to jump back into that where, you didn't have to zoom in, it was right click to zoom in and it brought the gun up, but that game was great. Pretty freaky too, actually, the Chimera and all that. Chimera. Made from chives.
The PlayStation 3 was the very first console I ever owned on launch. I did previously own other consoles, but never had one on day one of launch before. I ended up getting Resistance Full of Man with it, as to me, it looked like the most interesting launch title. I expected to like it, but not to love it. The solid gameplay blended with a fascinating and unique alternate history timeline got me hooked. I enjoyed Resistance 2 even more before unfairly not finishing Resistance 3.
Damn, I haven't played it. I need to play it.
I loved Nathan Hale, so not playing as Hale put me off, but what I have heard, Resistance 3 is actually a superb game as well. Also, with Resistance 3 is the war's lost, and now you're just trying to survive, and I was like, I was wanting to win.
Well, the first one ended so dramatically, getting rid of the spires and...
But it was spoiler alert for the third one, but they've actually got a cure now, because they find Nathan Hale's body, and they get his blood, and they actually get a cure out of it, so they're cured from the virus, they just need to fight back.
So the virus is cured, but we're still got to fight through all this crap.
Hale needed to die for it to actually win, which is interesting. Resistance 2, you saw his Hale, and he's getting more and more infected, and he's starting to turn.
Yeah, because the first one, the only thing that kind of changes is he gets a little bit emotionless and his eyes start to go like Anakin.
He gets powers as well.
He heals, regenerative powers as well, and he gets faster.
Kind of comes an X-Man.
Yeah, he's like a hybrid himself.
Resistance Fall of Man is a 2006 first-person shooter video game for the PlayStation 3. It was, do you know who it was developed by?
With Insomniac Games?
Insomniac Games, who also are, of course, responsible for Ratchet & Clank and the Spider-Man games that are coming out. They made new Spider-Man games.
Oh!
So they're top shelf. They're making a Wolverine game too, actually. It's coming out.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yes, very, very cool. So Insomniac, a massive company. So when this came out, though, they were famous for Ratchet & Clank. So when they first came out, you're like, so the people who made Ratchet & Clank are making a war video game? It's like, wow, okay. I never realized it was Insomniac for many years. I was like, wow, I just didn't pick it. But now you see Spider-Man games and stuff, you kind of see how they can pull it off. The game is set in an alternate history, 1951, and follows Sergeant Nathan Hale as he and the human resistance forces attempt to drive a mysterious alien-like invasion out of the United Kingdom. The story continues in Resistance 2. The game was originally developed under the title I-8, or I-8, as it was the 8th title to be in production by Insomniac Games. It was released as a PlayStation 3 launch title in the United States in November 17th, 2006. And in the PAL region on March 23rd, 2007. So I got it on March 23rd when it came out over here, because we got it at the same time as the UK. Resistance had positive critical reception, garnering particular praise in the view of its status as a launch title, and winning several awards. As of 2007, the game sold more than 2.1 million copies.
My God.
It's a big seller. Sony and Insomniac Games became embattled with the Church of England for using the interior shots of Manchester Cathedral to recreate the building within the game, as well as promoting violence within the building. The game, along with its sequels Resistance 2 and 3, shut down its online servers on April 8th, 2014. Digital versions of the first two games were released after the servers' closure in Europe. One thing I got, though, is why the heck has there not been a Resistance Trilogy remaster?
Yeah. Oh, true.
There are so many remasters coming out these days. Like
So many remasters.
they remastered The Last of Us, which came out about 5 years ago.
And there's a lot of gameplay in that. There's the truck mission, you're driving in the snow, there's all sorts. Yeah, you could make that so good.
The whole trilogy. You could have that as a trilogy remaster, like done the same with Mass Effect.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, maybe there's just not enough buzz for it, but I would love to see a Resistance trilogy. Because you can't play them, because PlayStation's only backwards capable on PS5 to PS4, and PS4's never had backwards capability for PS3s. So you can't actually go back and play them.
Oh, that's actually quite sad.
Yeah, so
true.
Make a Resistance trilogy remaster, please. I'll buy
I'll
it.
bring it out on Xbox and everyone will be like, whoa!
If you guys aren't going to use it, we will. We'll put it on Game Pass.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. If you like what you hear or have any suggestions or thoughts for us, who knows? It might be about Resistance Fall of Man. Well, you can contact us by going to the Nobody Does It Bennett Facebook page, or by hitting us up on the Twitter at NobodyDIBennett. You can also email us at nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com, or by going to our website, nobodydoesitbennett.buzzsprout.com. Nobody Does It Bennett is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other podcast outlets. Nobody Does It Bennett is now available also on YouTube, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Right, Matt, are you ready to cast with me for the last time?
I am.
Let's cast our Resistance.
Fall of Man.
Nobody does it, Bennett.
Let's start with our casting of Resistance Fall of Man, Matt. Of course, the first character we're going to cast is Sergeant Nathan Hale.
He reminds me of Cole from Infamous. He also reminds me of the guy from Wolfenstein series.
Because he's very generic.
Yeah, he is. He's very generic, but he's also that he gets through.
Yeah. He's the sort of character that if they made him today, he'd be a custom created character because he never speaks really either.
No, he didn't.
So
He just looks pissed off at everyone.
Yeah, you could easily just create any character you want in that form and it'd be fine. It's almost like a shepherd in Mass Effect.
He is too, actually. You could actually use him as a shepherd, yeah. Just put some hair on him that it just wouldn't look right.
Right, so we're going to go for Nathan Hale. We've got our casting choices in front of us. Would you like to go first or second for casting choice for Nathan Hale, sir?
I can go first.
Go first. Go ahead.
Dom Purcell.
Dom Purcell.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I've always liked him. I first watched him in Prison Break. And you've actually come to my attention that he's actually been in a lot more than I even thought of. But yeah, I watched a lot of Prison Break, a lot of seasons of Prison Break, and fell in love with that Lincoln Lincoln character.
You know, Prison Break wasn't the first thing I knew of him from. He was in a short-lived show that my sister used to watch called John Doe, where he used to be this guy that didn't know who he was, and he was going around trying to investigate like what happened to him and everything.
He'd be perfect. He kind of does look robotic. He's got that generic kind of I've been made a clone face.
Yeah, it's kind of like that show Blind Spot, where she's pretty much the same thing. She's got tattoos over her body. So maybe they like mix together Don Purcell performances, John Doe and Prison Break, because Prison Break he's got tattoos all over him.
Yeah, he does do covered.
Not the character of... The brother does,
No,
yeah.
not the brother.
Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, the brother's got the whole architect of the prison tattooed on his
But
body.
I can see Don Purcell as this character because he looks like...
Yeah, and he'd
Nathan
just be, he's always looking after people, even though he looks like a bit of a dick. That's just, when he was
looks like a bit of a dick.
a bit of a dick, but like it'll always save your bum.
Right, fair enough. No, it's a good opening choice here for Nathan Hale. My first choice is a character that I think could get the emotion across and just be perfect for the mystery of not knowing what's going on and could perceive it without speaking much, because this role, unless you change things up in the pitch, he doesn't really speak much in this whole game. So my first choice for an actor to play Nathan Hale is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah.
Jarhead, of course.
Yeah, Jarhead. Jughead, I was going to say. Jarhead, oh.
Yeah, he's also been in Source Code, where he had to keep replaying the same train mission again and again.
Oh, God, that was a horrible movie.
The ending, won't spoil it, but all that
When he
ending.
finds the girl? Is that one? Yeah, it is that one.
It's the one where, we weren't trying to spoil it, but at the end it's pretty horrific. Donnie Darko, of course, as well. He was in that years and years ago. The Boy in the Bubble.
Oh, my God, he was the boy in the bubble, and he went to Vegas.
John Travolta was the original and he was in the remake.
That's funny.
Of course, he was in Spider-Man Far From Home recently as well. But yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal was my first choice. You got a second choice there for Nathan Hale there, sir?
I thought about it for ages, but that's why I'd only chosen one and just gone to Don Purcell. Because I was going to use, I can't remember his name, the guy who plays Lex Luthor.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg, that's it. But he's kind of got that, he can play the, but he can also play, he's quite serious.
He's directing a movie shortly, actually, with Julianne Moore and the wolf kid from Stranger Things.
Oh.
It looks really good, too. It's one about this, a mother's and son's relationship that's just, kind of getting pulled apart.
Oh, yeah.
He's, of course, very good in also the Facebook movie, Social Network.
He bloody great in that.
He's in the movie series that, especially the first one. The second one was okay, but the first one was really good. Now You See Me, the magic one, where he's a magician. He's in a team
I
of
don't
magicians.
think I've seen it, because there's a second one for that too, isn't there? Yeah.
It was called Now You See Me, and they called the second one Now You See Me 2. It was why did you not call it Now You See Me, Now You Don't? They missed a beat there. Zombieland, of course, as well.
Oh, that's what I love him in, yeah. Zombie Attack number 2, yeah.
Mountain Dew Code Red was heavily promoted in that movie.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
No, Jesse Eisenberg's always good, very quirky. Gets mixed up with Michael Cera. No, it's a good choice. Interesting choice. My second option for Nathan Hale is someone I think who will incorporate very much the military kind of don't mess with me and could be a one-man army when he needs to be in this game. Nathan Hale becomes a one-man army. And this person I think would actually be almost bang on for it. John Bernthal, otherwise known as the Punisher in the Marvel series, Shane in The Walking Dead.
Oh, and The Walking Dead. Say, they're not zombies. They're not even. You shoot 2 in the chest, and they're just coming.
But yeah, John Bernthal. So that's my second choice. Have you got a third choice, sir?
Jason Statham.
Yep, always a good solid choice for this sort of role.
Yeah, always.
And he is a one-man army.
Him from Crank. Probably him. He'd have to play the guy in Crank. Barely talking, just full of adrenaline, grabbing things to pump himself up. But, he's got regenerative abilities now, so...
Only thing against him, I'd say, is can he do an American accent?
True, and he's meant to be American in that game. What are you doing, mate? And you'd be like, where's he from?
He would be perfect in any other role in this because everyone else is British, but Nathan Hale.
Just make him Cartwright. There you go.
Cartwright or the other guy, Winters, who they meet at the bus depot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it could be him too.
Winters doesn't last long. Sin coming!
He has a cool scene though.
Yeah, he does.
And then gets
Inspired. He gets inspired by the fall of man, and he tries to resist, but...
by the fall of man. That's what it's called. Yeah, it's just a big ship that comes.
Yeah, the fall of man.
It'd be a good name for a ship, actually.
It's just dropping bodies.
Yeah, so Jason Statham. So yeah, so good choice. Well, good choice as long as he can do an American accent.
Yeah, it'd have to. I don't think he can, though. Yeah, mate. That just sounds like the Saints Row 3 character customization.
It
You want to come and rob a bank?
My third choice is someone that I quite often put in these video game movie pitches. So why not put him for one more, And he's a solid choice. He's someone that you could believe in the role and is, every time he's been in something recently, he's done damn well. My third choice is Michael B. Jordan.
Perfect. That works. Yeah.
Of course, he's been in the Creed series recently. He's been in Black Panther.
What's his called? What's his one called?
His name?
His character in Black Panther? What's that?
He's called Killmonger.
Killmonger, that's it. Yeah, I love that outfit. He's cool.
Have you got anyone you want to put forward, sir, for Nathan Hale? I think John Bernthal for me.
That's pretty. As soon as you said that, and I pictured the scene from The Walking Dead where he's just screaming at them all, and there's just two zombies on chains, and he's just like, "They're already dead." Yeah. And I was just like, "Yeah, basically." Like if people were in there like trying to pick up a dead body off the gun, he'd be like, "They're already dead. The Chimera are coming."
I'm thinking more the Punisher side as well, because he's just got such a
Dead shot.
unique way of how to use the guns. He could bring that into the character once he gets the more skills. Just really cool action sequences.
Those dog things coming around the corner, he just pops holes in them. Yeah.
So you want to go with John Bernthal?
Yeah, John Bernthal.
John Bernthal has been confirmed. John Bernthal, congratulations. You are now Nathan Hale in our Resistance. Right, so our next character we're going to cast here is Rachel Parker, British intelligence officer who narrates a lot of the game. I actually like her character too because she just kind of pops in and out of the story. The way she talks is you don't know if what she's saying is completely factual or kind of like almost a legend of what happened.
They took a sandwich from my locker the day before the assault. And they're like, did they though?
As soon as I heard her voice, I had two characters in my mind, so I've got them both on here, and I've got a third character I think could do the same thing pretty well, or similar kind of one. My first choice for an actress to play Rachel Parker in Resistance: Fall of Man. She's great in action films. She's been in them before, and I think she's got the perfect voice for Rachel Parker. My first choice is Kate Beckinsale. Because she's in such high command, you know, she would have been a little bit older to actually get that far in the military as well. So she's my first choice as an actress for Rachel Parker. Of course, she's been Underworld. I couldn't think of them. Memory's gone.
Oh, is that her?
It's Kate Beckinsale.
Oh no, she's great. Yeah, definitely. I couldn't. I was sitting there just going, she's pretty crap in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't like her face, and I'm like, that's Keira Knight.
Yeah, Kate Beckinsale.
She's awesome.
Also, of course, in Van Helsing as well.
Oh, she is too. She's what's his name? She's the
The daughter.
Yeah, and he goes and helps. Oh my god, I'm getting that so mixed up. I'm thinking of the Valkyries.
She was in Click with Adam Sandler. She played the wife.
Oh, she did too. Yeah. Did you? In My Sushi?
And she never ages. She looks the same as she did 20 years ago.
She reminds me of Liv Tyler. That's it. Yeah.
Have you got a first choice, sir, for Rachel Parker?
It's horrible, but yes.
Okay.
Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, okay.
No one's heard of her in a long time.
I'm going to say the same question as I did for Jason Statham. Can she do a British accent?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
No, wait, that's a completely wrong person. She's not the one from Easy A.
No, that's Emma Stone.
Yeah, Emma Stone. Sorry, Emma Stone. Emma Stone's the one I'm going for. God, Lindsay Lohan. God, she's just...
Should be an interesting choice, but hey, she could pull it off.
The war was happening, but then I went to rehab.
Emma Stone, though, she can carry a presence.
Yeah,
She's got a
Emma
presence.
Stone would be good at that. She's got that and she'd be perfect for the acting in it too.
Yeah, I think she could pull off the British accent pretty well. Of course, Cruella de Vil she was in recently. Played Cruella.
I can't remember that. We watched it a couple of weeks ago on Disney, but I can't remember it.
Okay,
Yeah, I just cannot remember it at all.
That'll be like on the poster for the review. Cannot remember it.
Was it good? Question mark.
But now, of course, she's also been other things like Zombieland as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Another
Yeah.
Zombieland connection. Always a solid choice. My second choice for a Rachel Parker is someone who's been in blockbusters before. She hasn't done blockbusters for quite some time, so it'd be interesting for her to come back and kind of do something in this kind of realm again, because she does a lot of independent films, a lot of character films. This person I've picked for my Rachel Parker as my second choice is Kate Winslet.
Oh, nice.
British as well.
Yeah.
And she has the right kind of, I think, perfect kind of accent.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
For Rachel Parker. She's a bit older again as well. With people that would be older, a bit older, so therefore you believe they could actually be in that role. Because this is 1950s Britain as well, where women would have to work 10 times as hard to get anywhere. So the fact that if she's in, because she's like in a command position.
Yeah, she is too. She's like a major or something.
Yeah, so she would have to be at least in her 40s.
Especially when she gets to monologue basically everything that's gone on. So she's got all that intelligence even when he didn't.
And Kate Winslet brings that gravitas that I think could really work, for, especially for a character who dips in and out of the movie. Every time you kind of hear her, you have a presence.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to the one that I chose and crossed out.
Was it Leonardo DiCaprio?
No.
Similar.
Rose! There was enough room on that door.
Funny enough, we just covered Titanic.
Oh, God.
Me, Tenzin, and Gemma. I've got Kate Winslet as my second choice. Do you have a second choice, sir, for Rachel Parker?
The Queen of Dragons.
Queen of Dragons?
Amelia Clark.
Ooh, yeah,
from Game of Thrones.
She's British too, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, she's very good. No, I like that too. Again, she has that presence.
Yeah, the commanding as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can kind of you listen to her and you'd be like, oh, you've been here a while. You've done this before.
Yeah, she was also in that Christmas movie, that Last Christmas or something, recently as well.
Well, that's her downfall.
That's it. Get her out of here.
This is what happened to you, Tim Allen.
Where's Lindsay Lohan? Well, we've got to put her back in this.
Lindsay Lohan. I can't believe I even thought of that.
If she could use parent traps everywhere, maybe she can catch the Charmerians. She's like, you know what? I'm a pretty mean girl. My third option for a Rachel Parker character is someone who's solid, who's got a very British accent, of course, and she's very commanding, and she's in a role similar to this with Tom Cruise. The actress I've picked is Emily Blunt. Of course, she was in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, where he keeps dying.
Oh, and their big bio suit. Oh, she's the one with the sword.
She's the one that she dies with him, and then she keeps coming back with him.
She's a real cool actor.
Yeah, she's married to John Krasinski from The Quiet Place, 'cause that's why she did The Quiet Place with him.
That's cool. Yeah, she's a real good actress. She's been in a couple of things, actually.
Mm-hmm. Been in Looper with Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That's the one where like people come back from the future. You got to kill them. You got to kill your future selves.
Don't know if I've seen that. I think I'm getting mixed up with the one with Hayden Christensen. Jumper. Yeah, I'm thinking of Jumper, sorry.
She was also Mary Poppins. She was like Mary Poppins Returns.
Oh, well, that's quite cool.
But anyway, Emily Blunt is my third option. Do you have a third option for Rachel Parker?
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep? Got to put her back in there.
Yeah, she could play that.
Yeah, she's got to be in there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about before. I was just like, oh, so she's a great actor because she can play the hard ass too.
Yeah, and this is the last episode of a video game movie pitch. And how many times has Meryl Streep been in there? Quite a few times. You got to have her again. Absolutely.
Meryl Streep just keeps coming back.
What are you going to say about Meryl Streep? She couldn't do this?
Yeah, she's had more time in prison than Snoop Dogg.
She can do anything. Let's have a look at our picks here. Do you have a pick for Rachel Parker from your side, sir?
Amelia Clarke I like.
Amelia Clarke?
But you also see Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the better of the two, not being mean. Just has more authority to throw around.
I don't know. I like both of them almost as equally. I think Amelia Clarke could have pulled off just as well as Kate Winslet.
It was just the Queen of Dragons.
Yeah.
It's just when she switched in that, she showed that side, and it was just like if war was turning into crap and she knew what to do, she'd just pull finger and be like, right.
Yeah.
Well, she wouldn't necessarily burn villages down with dragons, but...
Yeah, I'm okay with Amelia Clarke. I think she could do a good job, and she wouldn't be someone you expect to show up in this. So, let's go with her. Amelia Clarke is our Rachel Parker. Parker! So, for character 3, Stephen Cartwright, who was your first option, sir, for Stephen Cartwright?
Have you seen the cartoon movie Monster House?
Yes, I saw it years ago, yeah.
You know Horace Nettercracker, the angry old grump neighbour?
Yeah.
Him. As Cartwright.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Horace Nettercracker. That's his character's name in the thing, but I don't know who voiced him, but it's that character. I can have the voice character, but I'm just him as the character. Yeah.
The old guy from Monster House.
Because he's just a grump. He knows everything. Like, he could have killed Hale. He could have, because he knew crap was turning around when they first met in Manchester, and, he was about to... I reckon he second thought it. He could have shot him, but he didn't. Yeah, there was heaps going on there.
Let's have a look and see what his name is.
The real name.
It's Steve Buscemi.
Oh my God. You like Oreos on your pizza? Oh, wow, okay.
So remember him in Mr. Deeds. Mr. Car.
Is that one when he has his lazy eye?
Yeah.
And he loves his chip pizza, Oreo pizza or something?
Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, Steve Buscemi, it's a bit more of a name I recognise.
Wow. Wasn't expecting that.
Right, so my first choice for a Stephen Cartwright is someone who plays a kind of a military kind of figure, I reckon, quite well. I think he always has a presence when he shows up, and his role's kind of... He'll be in that for a little while, so I think a good character, especially one that when he comes on screen, you give the automatic respect for, would show up. So my first option for Stephen Cartwright is Mark Strong. He's the bad guy in Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, the guy from Kingsman.
Yeah.
Oh, he was great, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Strong. He's always got a presence, and I think as a kind of a military kind of man who has a lead that people would follow, he'd be kind of one of the guys you look at and go, yeah, he's a...
Yeah, he could laugh, but then if it turned to crap, he'd be the serious one too. Yeah, true.
Him and Hale could just go into the battle together with the Jeep.
Yeah.
And a machine gun in the back. But yeah, so Mark Strong is my first choice. Have you got a second choice for Stephen Cartwright?
Yeah, Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito. Yeah. I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I absolutely love that show. And him just being a madman in the middle of a war.
I don't care what's wrong with your eyes. You can just.
And then he'd just take off.
I reckon he could do a British accent. I'm thinking Penguin from Batman just running around. You know what's funny? This is the second video game movie pitch in a row that he's been nominated for casting.
Oh God, Danny DeVito, you're shining.
But I think Jimmy might have tried to cast him as Bowser.
That would be perfect.
I think it was Bowser anyway, yeah. Yeah, Danny DeVito, you know, he's a character. Always funny. But yeah, it'd be an interesting role for him to play Cartwright.
He'd have to play it seriously.
My second choice for Stephen Cartwright is someone that's, again, another regular for a video game movie pitch. So we've got to bring him back for the last one again. We've had Meryl Streep. Now also have Idris Elba. He's been nominated quite a few times.
He'd nail that.
Just a commanding kind of presence. When he's in Pacific Rim as the leader in that, like the sergeant in that.
Oh, he was too.
Like I would follow him to battle. I would follow him into battle anywhere. And it's that rough kind of voice like, "What's wrong with your eyes, son? Who is this American Yank think he can mess with us?"
And he'd just look down at them with his angry eyebrows. Yeah. His stern look. Yeah.
Yeah, Idris Elba, of course, he was Knuckles in Sonic 2 recently.
Was he?
He was Knuckles. It was great.
Good on you.
So Idris Elba is my second choice. Do you have a third choice, sir, for Stephen Cartwright?
I do not.
I have a third choice. Again, he was nominated in the last video game movie pitch. Someone that you would follow into battle. He's a bit more older, so he'd be an older kind of leader. But I think someone that hopefully wouldn't die in this one, but he's died in quite a few before. My third choice for Stephen Cartwright is Sean Bean.
Oh, Sean Bean could play that.
Sean Bean?
Yeah, Sean Bean.
He could take many arrows to the chest before he goes down.
Yeah, he could too, yeah.
He gets his head chopped off in Game of Thrones. So another Game of Thrones connection with Amelia Clark.
Give me the ring, boy.
Frodo! He will take it. He will use it against us.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Frodo. I'm sorry. No wonder you got shot by Urk, like. Come on.
So Sean Bean is my third choice. Anyone you want to nominate for Stephen Cartwright, sir?
Probably Idris Elba. Yeah, you nailed that with that.
He's just perfect, isn't he?
Yeah, you could see him in the uniform too. But he would have shot Nathan Hale. Point blank in the head.
I think he would have once the mission was over, but he needed him for the mission.
Yeah, true.
He's a military man, so he knows an asset when he sees one. But then, like, when the asset becomes too dangerous, he wouldn't be hesitant to shoot him. So, Idris Elba, welcome to Resistance, Full of Man. We now come to our last character, because there's not many characters in this. It's mainly just Hale and Parker.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's why I just kind of monologued mine like it was just the telling of the story, while in the background the story happens and there's just a load of war for 2 hours.
It's just Star Trek red shirts everywhere who show up, get killed, and then he moves on to the next platoon.
Yeah, literally.
They all get killed, he moves on to the next platoon. Only ones that kind of hang around for any while is Cartwright and Parker. Everyone else dies, even Winters, who we're going to cast right now. So this one would be kind of like a one scene guy. So I'm not sure. My guys are pretty big stars, but they might want to do it for like one big scene.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they could turn it into like a epic movie type, Full of Man.
Winters could survive and kind of hang out with Hale for a while. So Hale and Winters could team up with Cartwright as well.
Yeah, they could do, yeah.
Yeah, he could survive somehow those hundreds of little spiders grabbing his face.
And going down his throat.
Yeah.
Yummy. The crawlers.
So my first choice for an actor for Winters, Matt, is someone he's an American, but I think he could play off the British pretty well. When I see him in things, he's just a good character actor. I think someone that would be happy to come in for 1 or 2 scenes he want to do or longer. And either way, you're going to get something really, really good. My first choice, for casting Winters is John Hamm. Of course, he's been in Mad Men.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Top Gun, he was in Top Gun Maverick with Tom Cruise recently. He's just a really good kind of side guy. He was also in Wet Hot American Summers, I think the sequel series, The First Day of Camp. He was in that as well.
First Day of Camp.
Yeah, John Hamm is my first choice for Winters. Do you have a first choice for a casting for Winters, sir?
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson? I'm pretty sure he's retired, but... Let's go with it.
Sorry, Jack, you're coming out of retirement.
I'd pay to see Jack Nicholson just show up and get killed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oops. He's the one that goes, oh, incoming.
It would have to work the schedule, though, around the LA Lakers home games, because that's what happens with Jack Nicholson movies.
Seriously.
He always goes to the Lakers games, so people have to actually, like when Martin Scorsese was doing The Departed,
yeah,
he said he had to film around the Lakers home games.
I'm not doing it unless... Yeah,
because he's always got to be there.
I need to see my team.
Jack Nicholson, of course, he was in the first Nobody's Bennett movie review universe movie, Batman 1989. He's in The Shining, of course, as well. The Shining, if you were in The Simpsons.
Oh, that's right. Home. Yeah.
Everyone gets sued. Easy Rider was one of the first things I saw him in. Like really, really kind of a medium to small role. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The one where he played a werewolf. I think Cher was in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as well. He was in that comedy of Adam Sandler, Anger Management or something like that.
Was he in that?
Yeah, he played the therapist who was helping him.
I have to go back and watch all those Adam Sandler movies. Man, he did a block of movies back in the early 2000s.
Adam Sandler, man, there's so many good actors that worked with him, and you like look at it going, why did they work with him? Like
He's a child.
Al Pacino was in one of them. It was like, oof. Jack Nicholson, he would be a choice, that's for sure.
No, yeah, definitely.
So my second choice for Winters is someone, again, who we've cast quite a few times in a video game movie pitch. Would be one that be kind of a red herring because people would think he would be like someone that's going to stick around for a long time because he's a big actor. So kind of like the Bill Murray in Zombieland where you think, oh, he ain't going to die, and dies within like moments. Same thing as Winters could do. My second choice for Winters is Tom Hardy. British. Have you got Tom Hardy as well?
I just thought about it then. I was just like, oh my God.
So is your second choice? Yep.
One of the Crane brothers.
The rule, of course, with us, if we both have the same name on both our lists, we cast that person automatically.
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, well, it'd be a really good red herring if you decide to kill him straight away. Or if you want to carry him on, you've got Tom Hardy in you.
Yeah, exactly. And you could literally cast him any way that he said. You could turn up at his house and he could have not showered for 3-4 months. You'd still cast him the way he is.
And if he got attacked by those bugs, he could survive because the venom inside him could actually stop it.
Yeah,
The symbiote.
yeah, he would too. Yeah, he'd be fine. He'd just be like, it's okay, Brock. And then he puts his hand on the chimera thing and it goes, Brock. And he's like, ah. Yeah. And that's why they had to transport it away because it's just the symbiote that they were transporting. That's why it was the black over Russia.
It's a secretly an MCU movie.
Yeah.
Or I should say a Sony movie. What is a Sony PlayStation game? A Sony movie. It makes sense.
Yeah, this is how it happened.
So we've got Tom Hardy confirmed now since we're both on our list. I've got a third option if we didn't have Tom Hardy. My third option was Hugh Jackman. I think he would have been just a good kind of guy to show up and...
Hugh Jackman would have nailed that.
He would have. And he'd be like, oh, it's Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, that's cool.
Almost just have him with Australian accent, just have Australian platoon there.
You could too. Yeah, you could too. He'd be Australian.
G'day, mate. Oh, you're a Yank, are you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he'd always have a cigar hanging out his mouth.
Because I imagine, like, if Europe and United Kingdom were going to fall, New Zealand and Australia would be called into action because we're part of the Commonwealth. So it would make sense for Australians to be over there. Right, so now that we've cast our characters, let's go through and see who we've got for confirmed casting, shall we? For Nathan Hale, we have John Berthel. For Rachel Parker, we have Amelia Clark. For Stephen Cartwright, we have Idris Elba. And for Winters, we have Tom Hardy. So yeah, it's a shorter one this week, which means that we can go into our pitches a bit sooner as well. So I think it's a pretty solid cast. I'd watch that movie.
Yeah, it is a good cast.
Yeah, it's a good blend as well. Good character actors.
Steve Buscemi can just be one of the chimeras.
He could be one of the guys that shows up.
He's the one that you see getting gestated in that pod when Nathan walks into that room and he's like, what is going on?
Right, so now that we've cast our Resistance Full of Man, let's go to our pitches, shall we?
Nobody does it, Bennett. A video game movie pitch.
Right, so for my pitch, it is a movie. I've got here R16 for action horror, live action, and it'll be 140 minutes approx, so 2 hours, 20 minutes approx. Movie begins with a military base. Rachel Parker, a British colonel and intelligence officer, is being debriefed by what happened in the United Kingdom in 1951. We have had conflicting reports from several different sources claiming that the one man is mainly responsible for what happened in the United Kingdom. Colonel Parker, can you confirm who the soldier is? Can you tell us about Sergeant Nathan Hale? Title appears, Resistance, Full of Man. Rachel will then voice over a montage about how the Chimera patiently amassed their forces before breaking through the Red Curtain and swiftly invading Europe in December of 1949. I started narrating her stuff through this, but at first I just didn't do that, and so this whole first part I didn't actually have her narration. Beginning with the Chimerian War, the Americans would get involved in 1951 when all of Europe had been overrun. A young sergeant named Nathan Hale would soon get involved. The story will be told from Rachel Parker's interpretation and by the reports the military have received. You'll never be told what is true and what is not, which makes you question, especially as the story gets more and more dramatic and fantastic, what is actually true and what's actually false. We've done, of course, Total Recall in the past, where you don't know what's true, what's not. That'll be an element to this as well. We just don't know if what she's saying has actually been amped up or is exactly what he says. And it kind of scares you because if he is this powerful, my God. But you just don't know. It could be a fable. It could be a report. You just don't know. And you'll never find out. It's up to the interpretation.
Like when Arnie gets back and he's like, why'd you blab about Mars? And he's like, what did I do wrong? Tell me. He's got no idea.
Yeah, you just don't know exactly what was true and what was not. Again, Inception as well at the end with the
Spinning top, yeah.
You don't know.
They did that in an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia too.
What follows are the events of his life from July 11th to July 14th, 1951, the day he was last seen. America had closed and blocked their borders in 1950. Newspapers and radio stations became state property. This was done so that people would not know what had happened in Europe. The Americans knew nothing about the enemy they're about to face. There will be an action sequence where Hale and his platoon are ambushed as soon as they get off the choppers. A gritty Saving Private Ryan style action. Hale and his team will try and fight their way through the Cimmerian assault, causing heavy casualties to the squad. More squads will continue to drop down, some choppers being shot down as they try to deploy. There'll be a single shot take of some of the sequences, so it'll be like one single camera shot of them running through, just going through the whole
all the buildings,
carnage.
Almost like that, what was that war movie that came out of war? 1908?
1917.
1917, that was all one shot.
Yeah.
Most of that.
It wouldn't be like the whole movie like that,
Yeah, not the whole
but there'll be elements of that too, because that really kind of grabs you into the moment.
Yeah, the continuous look. Yeah, that's awesome.
During this opening sequence, Hale and the squad will be swarmed by little Cimmerian bugs. Everyone will be knocked unconscious by them. No one knows exactly how Hale was infected by the Cimmerian virus. Our only clue was a journal entry found on the body of a US medic. He had found a group of soldiers in a creek bed. When he approached them, one suddenly woke up. Unlike the other soldiers, his body had no wounds at all. The sergeant refused any kind of medical attention, insisting on catching up to the rest of the company. If this unknown soldier is in fact Nathan Hale, then he remains to be the only person to wake up after being infected. Whether the virus had mutated in him, or if he had some innate resistance to the Cimmerian virus remains a mystery. That's where the whole thing comes up, resistance, huh? It will then cut back to Hale making his way towards the battles in the nearby cities. Hale meets up with Captain Winters at an abandoned bus depot. Winters and Hale talk for a bit. Winters wary of Hale as his eyes now have a strange yellow tinge to them. Winters decides to let Hale help him defend the area they are in. If they can defend and maintain the area, they can use it for an LZ or landing zone for reinforcements. Hale helps Winters' team defend. Hale starts to show some unusual behaviour, like increased strength and speed, as well as rapid healing abilities. After it looks like the Winters and his men were victorious, large spires drop from the sky.
There's your landing zone.
Yep, you just made it for them. That's
Well
all.
done.
Yep.
Yeah.
When they land, thousands of Cimmerian bugs swarm the area.
It's like the scarabs and
The Mummy.
yeah, the mummy.
Also in Halo, those little things that crawl across in Halo.
Oh, the flood.
Yeah.
Oh, they are too. Very
Yeah.
similar.
We know from the craters the Cimmeria ended the battle by launching spires. There is no defense against a spire attack. By the time you see them in the air, it's already too late. After the impact, the spires release swarms of crawlers. Literally thousands can come from a single spire. Whole cities have been infected in minutes. After the crawlers have done their work, the Cimmerians send in carriers to collect the dormant victims. The role of the carriers is to transport the infected humans to conversion centers. It's at these locations that the Cimmerian creatures are born.
I'm just reading yours basically off my...
Yeah, sorry, as I said that.
There was nothing else to kind of push though.
Such
yeah.
a narrative story
Yeah.
that you're going to have to go with it. Hale was brought to a conversion centre in the town of Grimsby. The convoy team and I were imprisoned at the same location. We had been captured and infected, so we had to be put in a makeshift pens until they could infect us properly.
Yeah, that was hideous. It's like a farm.
Yeah, nasty looking factory. Elements of like what happened in World War II with like Nazis and stuff as well. And their camps, it's kind of a mixture of that, which is also eerie.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, they have to set up the containment areas in these actual buildings.
This scene will be a true horror scene, a factory like out of a nightmare. Hale, with his newfound strength and skill, will break loose and sneak his way through the factory. Hale then will see some fellow soldiers get infected in some pens. Rachel will also be in a nearby pen. Hale will free her before she is infected.
Those big gross doors too. So it's just like a big glass shield door with just like...
Yeah, it's just, nasty. Everything is wretched in there, eh? Rachel and Hale have to split up as Rachel's only way out of the pen is through a vent system. Rachel and Hale keep in radio contact as they make their way through the factory. Hale will see all the horrors of how humans are converted into Chimerian soldiers. Rachel also notices that Hale's eyes show Chimerian traits and found it strange that this one American soldier was walking around in a Chimerian factory. Hale and Rachel fight their way through a Chimerian assault before they manage to get a transport chopper out. I looked for any further signs of conversion, fever, nervous movement, paranoia. There was nothing, just the gold-coloured eyes. We flew directly to Manchester. Soldiers had been trying to recover the convoy ever since my squad was ambushed. They knew it was their last hope for defeating the Chimera. I wanted to take Hale back to Northern Command for debriefing. Maybe he could sense I was suspicious of him. He joined the Manchester squad before I could say a word.
The 501st first descended on Coruscant on Execute Order 66, and Anakin's eyes changed to yellow-crimson hue.
He must be tried!
Yeah.
Cue more battle sequences of Hale fighting. Chimerian dogs are introduced here too.
They're hideous. Yeah, they're terrifying them.
Hale and his new squad make it to a cathedral in Manchester Square. That's going to be a thing. He's going to get new squads because they always die.
Yeah, you go meet the squad over here because A, B, C, and D are dead, so just keep following the line.
Just keep going. You're fine. The squad is ambushed. Hale battles through. A few of the squad make it, eventually locate the convoy. Unfortunately, it's guarded by stalkers. Huge mechanical beasts that were near impossible to take down. The stalkers fire anti-aircraft missiles of deadly accuracy.
Insane. Absolutely insane. Mechanical, like, isopod-looking things. Like,
Very War of the Worlds.
yeah, 100%. The big 4 legs, armour plating on each of them, 2 big cannons out the side. Yeah, insane.
Hale will take down a stalker almost single-handedly, though. And everyone's going to be like, what?
Who are you?
What is this guy up to? Is he like Jesus? The team will recover the convoy.
More powerful than a speeding locomotive.
Hale will react with the convoy. As he touches the side of the large transport area, he will get knocked down by a violent flash. There's some sort of Chimerian queen in this transport. I picked up Hale after the mission. I had seen him approach the containment cell on the convoy. The cell had 14-inch lead walls. But even so, given Hale's condition, I didn't want him anywhere near it. With the stalkers gone, we were unable to airlift the cell back to Northern Command. We were about to execute a very risky offense operation. The Chimera had been using a network of underground tunnels to attack undetected. The tunnels formed a nexus, and if we sealed them off, we would at least briefly have the upper hand. Cut to an action scene of Hale and the squads making their way to the tunnels. Hale gets cut off from the rest of the squad, so he goes into the tunnels on his own. After some intense thrilling moments, Hale will hear the rest of the squad above and will join the battle, before they all start investigating the tunnels. Hale will then be introduced to Lieutenant Stephen Cartwright during this. Cartwright and his men will have found something strange in the tunnels.
All I can think about is Idris Elba now.
Yeah.
Follow me.
What's your name, Sergeant? Hale. Are you ready to bring a bit of hail down on all this pain? What's wrong with your eyes, son? After some more action sequences, the squad is transported back to Northern Command for a debrief. I radioed Northern Command on our approach. No response. As we landed, I could already sense the worst. The whole place was deathly silent. There is an explosion which causes rubble to fall and separates Hale from the rest of the squad. Hale needs to fight his way alone through the dark corridors of Northern Command to restore power. Another kind of like horror moment.
I remember that in the game.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Nathan, yeah, you get separated from them. You've got to find your way out.
Yeah, it'd be another like true horror element where it's just like walking through darkness.
They have to remaster that.
Oh, God.
All of that would be great.
The whole trilogy.
There's so much. Even just the first one for me, yeah, there's so much in that one, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Hale fights his way through hordes of Chimera. Hale restores power. I had been trying to radio Hale since the cave-in. I knew how the Chimerian had found Northern Command, and more importantly, I knew why. They had wanted what the convoy had been carrying in Manchester. It had been carefully sealed in a specimen tank in a research lab. We thought it would be unable to call the Chimera from within. We were badly mistaken. There was no way to warn Hale of the danger he was in. If he opened that tank, the result could be disastrous. What was inside would either kill him or control him. Hale finds a map room which contains all the information, stats, and research of what happened from the time the Chimerians surfaced in Russia until now. So pretty much plot. This is how Hale finds out what happened for like we found out in the montage. He didn't get that, so now he gets this.
Now he gets to stress out about it.
Yeah, and finds out all the information. Hale also finds out there's been no human resistance to the virus. Well, until now. Hale also finds out what the Brits called angels. the most powerful of Chimerians, able to control and communicate with other Chimerians. Maybe the angel was already controlling Hale,
That's what I thought.
almost leading him to it.
Quick, let's go back to the base. Nope. I'm going to join this other company. I'm going to do this. He doesn't, a couple times.
Yeah, it's almost like, because he's always hopping on so he can get there. But then again, he doesn't go to the base when she wants him to go earlier on. That's the question is, does he know or does he not know?
Autonomous.
Hale comes to containment cell and opens the door. As the angel bangs against the cell, Hale starts holding his head in pain. The angel breaks out of the cell. Hale shakes off his head pain and guns down the angel.
Yeah, literally.
Hale meets up with Rachel and the team again.
So that's a Punisher scene. He's just holding it down here, not even looking at it, and then he's just... Yeah.
Just carnage. And you hear the screams of it.
And he's just stood there like that. Yeah.
Hale was starting to show more signs of the conversion process. His agility and healing abilities had rapidly increased off the charts, judging by the bullet holes in his uniform. Cartwright and some men tracked after the Chimerians to Somerset. It had been a couple of hours since they checked in. Hale volunteers to go after them. Hale finds his way to find Cartwright. Most of his men have been killed. Cartwright was the best soldier in my command. Nothing got past him. He must have known Hale was infected when they first met in Nottingham. Tense moments between Cartwright and Hale before Cartwright throws Hale some keys to a jeep. Fortunately, Cartwright never cared much about the small stuff. I like that scene. It's like intense, and then like he throws the keys, and then the narration carries it on. Like, fortunately, though, he didn't care.
Yeah, that's good. He literally just didn't want to sweat the small stuff. Kill him, like, then what? Yeah. He's just alone.
He might be a risk, he might not be. It's at the point of like, is it more of a risk killing him than it would be not? Because you've seen what he can do.
He's come this far, and he hasn't turned yet.
The only chance we've got is Hale.
And if he hadn't have killed the angel,
yeah,
he probably would have been a bit...
If they don't kill Hale, he could potentially turn and they'd lose, but there's always that potential. When it comes to military, I guess, you take the best option no matter how grim it is. They drove off in a jeep. Cue an action jeep driving scene with Cartwright on the gun up top. Cartwright and Hale make their way through a gorge. Chimera usually located themselves around large cities. It was unusual for them to be in a small place like Somerset. What were they hiding? Hale and Cartwright discover this massive structure in the gorge. They retreat before they can be seen by anyone else. Hale and Cartwright had discovered the key to the entire Chimerian strategy. The tower they had found had not been constructed. It had been excavated. That single fact changed everything we knew about the Chimera. Leaving Somerset, they must have noticed the power conduits radiating from the tower behind them. We believe this discovery is what inspired Hale's fateful actions later that day.
But you wouldn't think about it. You just be like, we're just getting mowed down. And then these things are catching us, killing us, and then gestating us and making 3 out of 1. And nope.
Reminds you of the Matrix with the babies getting the human fluid liquids into them.
Oh, yeah.
The drive to Southern Command must have taken them at least an hour, time enough for the Chimera to launch a strike force. Southern Command is under attack. Hale and Cartwright split up so they can attack from 2 fronts. Hale makes his way to the base. Hale and Cartwright rescue the survivors in the base and manage to get air transport out. They fly to a rendezvous. The survivors fly to a rendezvous. The survivors fly to Cardiff, 20 miles away. Right, I was going to try rendezvous, but I can't say it properly. They fly to Cardiff. Hale remains at Southern Command. Hale is approached by a giant Goliath robot. Looks like Hale is done for. Until the Goliath stops and the access door opens. It's Cartwright. Just imagine Idris Elba coming out of one of those Goliaths. Ready
How you doing?
Yeah, ready for a battle.
What are you standing there for?
Hale jumps into the Goliath with Cartwright. They use the Goliath to blast through hordes of Chimera and escape Southern Command. Rachel is in a nearby transport waiting to see if Cartwright and Hale will make it. When they arrive, Cartwright gets on the transport. Hale refuses, saying he has something to do first. The last time I saw Hale, he was looking over a map Cartwright had given him. I learnt later that it detailed the known paths of the power conduits. The conduits only run above ground for a short distance, before burrowing deep into the Chimerian tunnels. Entering those tunnels is nothing short of suicide. Nevertheless, I believe that is exactly what Hale did. Cut to Hale, one-man arming his way through the Chimerian tunnels, just to be like an awesome action sequence of him.
That's just the Punisher,
Just Punisher, yeah, absolutely. We believe Hale followed the Chimerian tunnels for several miles, finally reaching a major conduit junction.
just jogging for 7 miles, no emotion on his face, not even puffing.
Forrest Gump style, where they've got the long beard. This would have led him directly into the Chimerian Tower. The tower, most likely what we now know as C3. Each tower is named for its relative position in the conduit network. C3 was only 12 miles from the centre it would have been exceedingly well defended.
C3PO, human cyborg relations. They walk up, it's just a giant golden robot.
It's the giant god! The one I spoke of in Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks. Hale makes his way to London. He finds the tower much bigger than the rest. Hale contacts Rachel and Cardiff, saying that if they destroy the tower, they'll destroy the Chimera. Some American reinforcements luckily just arrive in Cardiff. Convenient. I decided to gamble that Hale was right. I convinced the Americans to launch a full assault on the tower. We were bringing everything we had to London. Hale needed to take out the stalkers so that the reinforcements could land. Another cool big sequence scene was, it'll show you how much more powerful he's gotten too, because that last stalker, when he's taken it on, like, he took it out by himself almost, but it would have been more, like, a lot harder to do, and this way he'd just be taking out 2 or 3 stalkers at once. Just go full on, like, the Force Unleashed. Pull down a ship.
Oh, that's right, those games are insane.
Oh, the power he had.
That'd be a good movie.
Yeah, it would be. Almost like they could do that in Star Wars, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. After a cool action scene of Hale taking out stalkers, the backup arrives. This final battle would be epic. Cartwright and his men launching assaults while Rachel commands other units. Hale infiltrates the tower while the others create a distraction. Hale gets inside and manages to blow the core reactor in the tower. Q are running while everything around Hale explodes sequence. Rachel orders the pilot of the plane she's in to wait for Hale to come out. The pilot says no one can survive this and flies off, leaving Hale behind in a massive explosion.
That was pretty sad, that bit. She's like looking down, like waiting for me. He's like, nope. And then they just...
But if he hadn't gone then, they would have died. Just as they're leaving, it blows up.
Yeah, true. They're not that far away from it either.
As the tower fell, Chimeran creatures began to shriek and writhe on the ground. They died within minutes. We believe they were simply unable to survive with the loss of the angels. The significance of our victory in London wasn't understood for several days. The reactor meltdown caused a chain reaction that destroyed all the towers in the network. At least in Britain, the Chimera were defeated.
Yeah, I love that. At least in Britain.
Room for sequels.
Yeah.
We have investigated the ruins of 5 towers so far. As we attempt to reverse engineer the complex technologies we find, the mystery of the Chimera only deepens. With combat subsided, the soldiers have been searching the rural villages for survivors. So far, we've found 921 hiding in bunkers and basements. 78 of them children. Cartwright's youngest daughter, Angela, was among them. As for Nathan Hale, his body was never recovered. He was presumably incinerated inside the tower. The American military lists him as killed in action, July the 14th, 1951. A part of me still believes he might have escaped somehow. I even thought I heard his voice on the radio just after the tower exploded. I'll never know, for sure. Unless you play the goddamn game and they show you straight away afterwards that he actually survived. I hate that bit at the end where he shows up.
It could have been telepathy while she heard him on the radio, or maybe she heard him in her head. I didn't think about it until you just said that then. I was like, oh, that's actually a good way to...
Could be, but then like that whole thing where she's like, I never know for sure, and then all of a sudden, cut to him.
2 seconds later, yeah. It's like finishing a movie like, oh, cliffhanger, and then it's like, oh, but he is alive. Just, you know, and that's just like, you just ruined it.
Just undercut the whole last sequence. And it's like, it's sequel bait.
And where is he? Russia?
Yeah. Like,
or is he back in London in the snow? Like, because he's in the middle of like kind of a forest.
you could just show that in the sequel and be done in the wiser. Why did you have to put it at the end of
they
this?
could have too. Yeah.
So in the game, there's a shot of Hale alive in the snow when he's spotted and forced onto a military chopper. But I wouldn't show this in the movie, otherwise it ruins the impact of Rachel's last words about thinking he might still be up there. Make it more of a mystery.
And that's kind of just like, was she just talking out her bum the whole time if he's alive? Why did she write the story on this guy who did all these things if he's alive?
He might be out there somewhere. Oh, no, we picked him up before. He's in a chopper. He's on his way now to Iceland. Oh, okay.
Is it, what's his name? No, Nathan Hale. Yeah. He's got yellow eyes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, he'd be extremely fast and healing. Yep, that's the guy.
Hang on. Yep, we stabbed him and he's healing back.
Yeah, it's the right guy. Oh, no, sorry, this isn't how he's bleeding out.
Oh, yeah. It's a hemophiliac. It's Nathan Hemophiliac. Oh, God.
He was wearing contacts.
Anakin. Anakin.
End of pitch. So that is my pitch, sir, for Resistance. Pretty much the game in movie form. Because what else? I couldn't really think of anything else to do.
Yeah, mine's basically that, but in like a documentary type of form. So it's like, this is what happened in the blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it's basically the same.
It's a very narrative, this story. So I can understand why. Like, unlike Mario Kart, Alex Kidd, where you have room to kind of like create your own story. This one, if you're going by the game, it's pretty like Uncharted, where you're just kind of following the story.
Here we go. Resistance Fall of Man. 2-hour movie with possible sequels. Well, they've kind of stated that at the end, you know, like... Movie starts with a voiceover and a land map of Russia. I put Toby Maguire. No. Toby Maguire speaks about the Chimeran threat. No, he doesn't.
Day by day, I think about her. Day by day.
You gonna cry?
I know what you're thinking. I'm just an ordinary New York kid.
I need that money.
That's the only reason he's in the war. Parker speaks out over the Chimeran threat beginning in Russia, but the origin of it is unknown as the screen pans out over a map of Russia being engulfed in black tar. Experiments from the 1930s. There were reports of biological experiments that began to leak out of Russia. Russia went dark, villages destroyed, and people killed overnight, followed by entire cities. The Americans had thought that the Russians may have had a chemical weapon with devastating power, but the reality was far, far worse. And then I've got X-Files. The Chimera was sealed in Russia for over 10 years, but in 1949 they launched an attack that brought Europe to its knees in a matter of weeks. Oh, I changed my voice. For months and months we thought we were safe in England, but October 1950 the Chimera burrowed under the Channel to get our lives. Most of us retreated to military bases and scattered outposts. They had won. July 11th, 1951. The United States launched an attack back on the Chimera of the east coast of England. The camera pans over a picture of Nathan Hale, a sergeant in the army. These are the known events of his life, and the last day anyone saw him, and the last moments from July 11th to July 14th, 1951.
So would you have like the, almost like the black and white or monotone kind of colours?
Kind of like that, exactly that, but Borderlands.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, be like a Borderlands game. So it's just kind of going through and it's just like him like the big eyebrow things, like he's shocked, and it's like, and then it's just a big zoom in on this tower that's like...
Almost anime?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it would be a bit like that. And then, yeah, it's just him kind of this talking over the whole thing while it's just like a montage of this is what happened. Like the War of the Worlds, you know how they came down and opened the doors.
Chances of anything coming from Mars was 1,000,000 to 1, they said. But still, they come.
The camera pans over Nathan Hale, organising his locker, picking up a photo of a family as an alarm sounds. He is ready to go. On board a helicopter VTOL, they take off from an airstrip carrier. The Americans have no idea what they're about to witness. America locked its borders in 1950. Radio waves and newspaper became state property. Nobody knew the truth. The Americans were bringing supplies to the British in York, but exchanged for a weapon, something they could not build. Nathan rappels from a helicopter, which is then shot out of the sky. He's running through the streets, shooting Chimera aliens with strange-looking life packs on their backs. Nathan makes his way through the streets to a bus depot, but just as it doesn't seem all too much, tiny, small scarab-like bugs attack him and his crew. A journal entry found says a medical officer found a number of comatose soldiers in a creek bed, but one had no wounds. Insisted on catching up to his company. Was he infected? Nathan Hale wakes up in a daze, carries on through buildings, and finds a tank sitting on the street. He climbs aboard it and lays waste to Chimera running through the streets. Carnage ensues.
That'd be a cool scene with the tanks.
Yeah. Carnage ensues. Radio calls of the bus depot being overrun by Chimera, but Nathan has a tank. The Americans regrouped at an abandoned bus depot in South York, under the command of Captain Winters, played by Tom Hardy. The Chimera were closing on their position, but the Americans needed to clear and secure the depot before using it as a landing strip for soldiers. They may have the upper hand. The bus depot begins to overrun with Chimera, soldiers falling left, right and centre, but Nathan Hale is doing the unthinkable and holding the area. They've done it. Area secured. But as they go to celebrate, 3 giant spires fall from the sky and explode into the ground.
Imagine if they had like a first-person shot of the bugs coming in your mouth and your eyes and stuff.
Oh, and it's just got his hands going, oh. And then it's just you dropping on the ground going, yeah, oh, that'd be creepy. The Chimera ended the battle by launching spires. There is no defense against them. By the time you see them, you might as well already be dead. When the spire impacts, it releases swarms of crawlers, thousands from a single paw. Entire cities fenced in minutes. Once the crawlers have done all the work, the Chimera send in carriers to collect the dormant victims, which then take them to conversion centers. This is how chimeras are born.
This again, like you said before, in my one, those centers were creepy.
Nathan wakes on board. He doesn't know where he is. Everything looks still and cold, almost like a factory out of Alien. Taking out some chimera, Nathan shoots a console to release a woman called Parker, but she escapes through a hatch. She speaks about Nathan not being entirely human because of the virus. Once humans are infected with the virus, they go into a coma. The virus turns their bodies from inside out and into the chimera. The conversion centers speed that process up. During the second phase, humans are wrapped in cocoons, which accelerates their final stages of the chimera conversion. What emerges from the cocoon is entirely up to what strain of the virus the human was given and how strong it is. The ones called hybrids, which closely resemble humans, have the shortest gestation period. The longest, the gestation period, the bigger the chimera. The larger they are, the more humans they require. Nathan walks into a chamber. Is it a birthing chamber? New chimeras are being born with cooling packs on their backs. Otherwise they would overheat and die. Nathan makes his way down an elevator, trying to escape the facility. There's a transport here, and I can't wait any longer.
Quick, Nathan!
I noticed Nathan's eyes, golden. I wanted to take him back for the briefing, but he joined the Manchester squad before I could say anything. The convoy was ambushed by stalkers, so the only way he could get through was by foot. We follow the radio message from Hale's squad saying that they were entering Manchester Cathedral. The cathedral was a field hospital during the war, but it was abandoned in a hurry. It was known to be a breeding ground for the lower forms of Chimera too. Nathan carries on his mission to try and flush out as many of the enemy as he can, but he stumbles upon a building just as somebody yells out, "Bloody hell, get in there!" Captain Mitchell's squad has located the convoy, and the stalker sightings in the area meant we couldn't get in. A stalker was, well, an abomination. They move fast and use anti-aircraft missiles. The tech they used is still one of the most intriguing discoveries about this whole fiasco. The Chimera just keeps coming. The convoy seems lost. A huge battle in a square takes place. There's flurries of bullets and powder, smoke, all sorts, and a stalker. It's huge in comparison to the stories. But Hale puts one hell of a fight, and they manage to take it down. The stalker is down, and the convoy is back.
They kind of also remind me of Ed 209 from RoboCop.
Ed 209.
Can't get in steers.
I'm sorry. The convoy is back. Nathan has a strange feeling and walks over to the convoy. He holds his hand on the side of a container. He gets an image of a screaming chimera. We airlifted it back to Nottingham. The chimera was using a network of tunnels to attack us. If we sealed them off, we could have the upper hand. Sergeant Hale ran into battle, defiant of all things human, and tore through the chimera's defense line to take out the chimera's mortar fire. A group of soldiers were sent in to take out mortars, but again, Nathan Hale was the only survivor. Nathan travelled down a power conduit, down past an old train tunnel network, and towards Lieutenant Cartwright. Word had already spread about what had happened with Hale in Manchester and how he was the only survivor, but Cartwright wasn't the type to be easily impressed, especially by an American.
Yeah, you can really see that from Idris Elba too. He'll look him up and down like, you're not that much.
Yeah. They found that the Chimera were digging, so the priority was to shut down the tunnels. A giant Chimera appeared. A huge fight ensued, leaving Hale defenseless, but he managed to take it down single-handedly. The Nottingham operation was a win, but when they got back, the entire building had collapsed. Chimera shoot through the dark as Hale makes his way through the chambers. Radio static is causing the headsets to malfunction. I was trying to radio Hale since the building caved in. I knew they had found Northern Command, but I also knew they were after something that the convoy had. It had been specially sealed in our containment lab, and we had thought it wouldn't be able to call the Chimera from within the tank. But, well, we were wrong. There was no way to tell Hale of the danger he was in, and if he opened that tank, well, the result could be catastrophic. It could either kill him or control him. What was in the tank was called an angel. It could talk and call to all other Chimera with some kind of telepathy, but all we knew, it could have been controlling Hale. Nathan walks into the containment area and opens the door, ready to kill whatever's in there. But as soon as he gets close, it controls his thoughts and confuses him. He pushes back and lays clip after clip after clip of ammo until the angel was done. It tries to alter his thoughts, knowing the best thing he could do was just pull the trigger. It's done.
Again, another beautiful scene of carnage shooting it through the thing.
I watched Hale get off the lift, and by the look on his face, he had found the angel. I didn't bother to ask if it was still alive or not. If he was alive, then, well, the angel was dead. But his movements have unusual quickness. He also had healing capabilities based on holes in the uniform. Hale goes on the move to find Lieutenant Cartwright and his team, as they haven't been heard from in 2 hours. Hale seems to think if he isn't already dead, then what's the problem? Cartwright is found by Hale, among 5 of his own dead soldiers. But Cartwright notices amongst the dark Hale's eyes. He cocks his gun, gets to his feet, and Hale looks confused. He tosses Hale keys to an armoured truck, and they get on mowing down Chimera as they head down to the population centres.
Do you think maybe Hale keeps him headaches with the Angel? Maybe he's having headaches because he's crossing frequencies with the Angel? Frequencies? Maybe he can see other Chimera like angels can see, so he knows Cartwright's still alive because he can see through the eyes of the Chimera.
True, could be as well.
Explains where he knows where he's going all the time as well.
He does, he just kind of, yeah. The gorge was filled with factories, but deep down in the gorge, the Chimera were hiding something far more terrifying. As Hale moves up to his line, past the gorge, it's another firefight. Him and Cartwright finally find a giant facility. Hale keeps hearing the Angel tapping with his head. Hale and Cartwright try to get back to the base, but there's all sorts of Chimera everywhere. So Nathan makes a run for it. They fought off the worst of the attack from the north, but they'd entered the hangar from the south side. We needed to get the planes out. Nathan tried to make his way through the base as the only one, and the soldiers were able to fight off the Chimera in the hangar. We ferried them off to the rendezvous point in Cardiff. Chimerian Goliaths were coming, but like stalkers, twice the size. But as it turns out, it's Cartwright. He has a score to settle. Onslaught after onslaught, but more than half the troops were lost, and if it wasn't for Cartwright and Hale, there would have been more lost. Hale's still refusing to get into the helicopter. He's looking for the power conduits, and that's exactly what he went after. We believed Hale followed the tunnels for several miles, which could have taken him to a tower called C3PO Human Site.
Every time you're falling back into that, yeah.
We believe Hale followed the tunnels for several miles, which could have taken him to a tower called C3, which is relative to how close they are to the network. Hale was in London and asked if snow was normal for July. There was a giant Chimerian tower that Hale wanted to destroy. Destroy the tower, destroy the Chimera. Hale gets outside, but just as his reinforcements come, they approach, and a stalker jumps out and destroys them. Nathan runs to the top of the building as fast as he can, strafing with his rat-like abilities. Don't know why I put rat-like abilities, but...
It could be like rats. Yeah.
Okay.
Ratman.
With a stalker hot on his heels, just as a volley of tank fire comes in from behind him and destroys it. It's Cartwright. Our forces arrived in London, nearly unscathed. It was hard not to stare in awe at the tower. We had only fled London 6 months earlier. And now it wasn't even recognisable. The whole city was covered in snow. I knew they thrived in cold weather, but could they actually be changing the weather? We had no time to think about it. As the last tanks crossed the bridge, stalkers were following us. We needed to stop them. Captain Buckler and Hale held back the Chimera as Alpha Company puts charges on the bridge, killing anything and everything in sight. They've done it. The bridge exploded and fell to the ocean below. Cartwright's team has been lost, and Hale has been asked to finish off an explosion on another bridge. He gets there in time and finds Lieutenant Cartwright in the back of a truck, laying waste to a Goliath. They drive through the snow, taking stalkers to pieces. The truck becomes stuck every so often, but they destroy the stalkers and need to get back to the gate. They finally enter a facility, and a huge four-legged chimera-looking Goliath appears, spitting acid and stomach acid at Hale and Cartwright as the battle continues. They never actually knew what those are called.
No, the Goliaths, yeah.
Yeah, they are the Goliath, aren't
It's
they?
the ones that Cartwright was in before.
No, because then this one's an animal one.
Must be a
It's
bigger
like
one.
spitting eggs and like gestation juices and all that. Maybe it's them without armor. I don't know.
Yeah, there might be a mixture of machine and
Yeah.
thing as well. So
They've done it. It's dead. But as it's finished, Lieutenant Cartwright drops to the ground. He is dying and tells Hale,
I'll cover this entrance.
Hale doesn't know what to say and walks off. Nathan Hale is met with a giant creature that screams at him and takes off above. Was that an angel? Didn't look very nice to me. Up, 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 and away Hale gets on the elevator. We were losing the battle. The few tanks would be taken by the hordes of Chimera. The only hope we had were the few soldiers that were inside of the tower. Giant flying chimeras attack from all angles, but Nathan makes the best of all of them, leaving nothing but death in his wake. A giant power source? A giant reactor? Nathan walks up in shock. Chimera pull through the walls as Hale and his team try to make it to the console. The building's falling apart. The giant reactor is malfunctioning. The light's getting brighter and brighter. Everything around them is falling or breaking into a million pieces. It's gone. A chain reaction sets off and Nathan runs for his life. The entire complex is exploding and things are falling out of the sky. But where is Nathan? As the towers fell, the Chimera went with them. They suffocated and died within minutes. We think it was because they were unable to survive the loss of the angels. At least in Britain, the Chimera were defeated. The mystery of the Chimera only deepens. But as for Nathan Hale, well, his body was never recovered. The military record of IC3859 shows him KIA. Don't know why I put that there. He was presumed to be incinerated inside the tower, July 14th, 1951. The rest has been receded. A part of me thinks he somehow escaped. I thought I heard him over the radio when the towers went down, but I'll never know. Didn't want to add this last bit in either, but they kind of ruined it anyway, and it's just an epilogue of Hale walking through the snow with a VTOL landing in front of him.
It just depowers the whole last speech.
It does. And then I've just like, armed gunman holds a grenade to his chest, and instead of pulling it, he goes with them. And I was thinking, is that him going with them? Or is it the Chimera? Or was it the Chimera that was like, you're not taking me alive? And then Nathan's like, no, 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 no.
Almost the way, yeah, you're unsure. But again, it's like, did you need that scene at the end where he's still alive?
Not at all. Like, it was already set up for a second game.
It is. Because you don't know if he's alive or not.
So,
You could do anything.
yeah, you could literally do anything.
Well, there we are. Those were our pitches for some interesting entertainment there. If you like what you hear or have any suggestions for us or thoughts, who knows, it might be about Resistance Full of Man. Well, you can contact us by going to the Nobody Does It Bennett Facebook page or by hitting us up on the Twitter at NobodyDIBennett. You can also email us at nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com or by going to our website, nobodydoesitbennett.buzzsprout.com. Nobody Does It Bennett is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other podcast outlets. Nobody Does It Bennett is now available on YouTube, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Matt, what do you think about those pictures?
While I was going through that, I was thinking of we probably should have spoken about a week ago, and I could have turned that into a series.
Oh, that's fine. That's the thing is I don't like to tell anyone what I'm doing, so it's just a surprise. Sometimes this is going to happen, but again, it's at the point where the story is so strong. Why would you want to kind of go away from that? So it's good. I'd rather not tell people what my thoughts are, so it's more surprise when you show up. Otherwise,
True, so they're not bringing in an already kind of made up narrative.
yeah. Well, if you come in with a story, and if I tell you I'm going to do the same story, you're going to go, oh crap, I have to go and do something else, and it might not be as strong, and you might go, oh, and you might be working for like 6 or 7 hours for something you didn't have to do. So yeah, I'm okay with it being similar. And the thing is, that's the sort of movie I'd like to see this kind of be. There's not many other ways you could do Resistance other than what we did here, without actually completely changing the story.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's a strong story. I'd love to see this as a movie, a live action. Even like an animated would be interesting.
Yeah, because I felt like if it was older, say like it was 50s, 60s style, like you know how the 1950s Superman, like just the, is he faster, that about? It's kind of like that. I feel like it would go through and it would have that kind of over the top, like we don't know what they were, you know, these big giant chimera things. It would just keep people going, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah. Could almost film it like a B 1950s sci-fi movie.
You could do like the Blob.
Yeah, could be like that too. What's going on here? So do you have any final thoughts on a video game movie pitch in general there, Matt? About your journey across all the different ones?
They're all great. Yeah, I never thought 10 years ago that I'd be doing a pitch for a game that I've played, you know? Or any game that I played, or reliving that game that I hadn't played in God knows how long.
Or going back and kind of like going for a new set of eyes, seeing it for a different way. So I like about these kind of video game movie pitches, you go back and you see it in a completely different light. Because when you're playing it, as long as the gameplay is fine, you're happy.
Yeah. Do PlayStation 4, so can you buy Resistance on there as a downloadable?
I don't think so. I think there is a thing where you can get certain games now through PlayStation Plus. They have tier system now where you can get like some previously PS3 games and PS2 games. I'm not sure if Resistance are in
Yeah,
those.
see, that would be cool. Yeah.
For most people, there's no really way you can get them. So remastering them, I think there'd be a market for them, especially if because Sony Pictures now are making TV shows and stuff like.
It'd only be about 5-6 gigs as well. It wouldn't be a huge game.
Yeah, and Sony Pictures are making The Last of Us. The TV series comes out in January. They could make a movie under the Sony Pictures banner, the PlayStation Pictures banner, and then release the remaster at the same time. I want to thank you also too, Matt, for doing the theme song for a video game movie pitch as well. I remember when we were talking about it, how I was like, I want it to almost sound like a Seventh Heaven kind of TV show kind of intro. Seventh Heaven, when I see them happy faces. I was like, I want that kind of energy, and I thought you brought it to it. It was cool.
No, never be.
Seventh heaven.
No one on pretty faces.
I was like, can you kind of do something like that for me? And you did. The Video Game Movie Pitch has that kind of cheesy 90s TV show. If you're into it, I love it.
Video game movie pitch.
I can just see like people like coming into.
Dun, 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 dun.
Absolutely. So thank you for doing that. A Video Game Movie Pitch has been an interesting journey, taking the idea of casting and pitching video games and TV shows. I have had fun making these, and I hope everyone has enjoyed listening to them. Of course, I will keep all the episodes up on the website, so they'll always be around to listen to. So long, A Video Game Movie Pitch, and thank you. Now that I will no longer be doing pitches, I will need to take it out of the name. Might mean I need to change my show logo. Stay tuned for that. Matt, thank you for joining me tonight, and for joining me on this whole A Video Game Movie Pitch journey.
Absolutely no problem, sir.
But it's not goodbye forever. We still have a Jurassic Park trilogy to finish, as well as other movies to cover.
It's all chaos.
Yeah, first it's ooh, ah, then there's running and screaming.
Screaming.
Thank you, A Video Game Movie Pitch, and thank you for listening. Remember, some others may do it better, but nobody does it better. Take care.
Dun, dun.
Movie Pitch.
It's the end of the show, and now it's time to go. Don't be sad, just be glad. Then nobody does it better.